Gladiators of Hull Kingston Rovers are now getting changed, ready for the combat that lies ahead, and we're going to walk inside the dressing room now, meet some of their players, starting first of all with this giant of a man standing here, who's Phil Lowe. Phil, I'm sure the Rovers players are delated that you're able to play this afternoon, because you had a bad injury about 2 weeks ago, didn't you?
Yes, I partially sprung my shoulder, and it tends to make life a little bit difficult for a few days.
How close a decision was it whether you'd play or not?
Well, I knew on Thursday morning that I would play. I trained on the Wednesday night and it was a little bit sore, but the doctor said that it was just a reaction from travelling along and then training hard on Wednesday evening. Thursday morning it was fine, so
you're fully fit. I know some of the boys over in the Hull dressing room over there say you can't recover from a sprung shoulder in 2 weeks, and they think you're not fully fit.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, eh?
They'll find out there, will they?
Certainly will.
I know you've got a pub back on Humberside. Is it free drinks there tonight?
Listen, if we win, the people that are in there, the mother will be watching, I'll tell you. We can give everybody a drink if we win this today.
A few songs and a few pints.
Oh,
can I just call Roger Millward over? Where's Roger? Can you come over, Roger? Phil, don't go too far away. I just want to stand Roger Millward and Phil Lowe alongside each other there, if we could. Just shoulder to shoulder.
I've got my shoes on.
Now, how's that? Now, no offence, Roger. But when you get tattled in a rugby league match by players the size of a Phil Lowe, I mean, does it hurt?
It just depends how they tackle you. Not usually. I'm usually too little for them to hurt. So keep out of the way a lot.
What, you go underneath the tattles, do you?
Yes, I try to do anyway.
What height are you?
5'4".
And how much do you weigh?
10 stone 8.
And Phil, what are you?
6'2", about 16'4".
16'4". Now, you've been playing professional rugby league for, what, 17 years?
Yeah.
No offence, you're now, what, 33? Presumably the tackles get a...
32, John.
32, I'm sorry about that.
Tells lies as well.
Presumably the tackles get a bit harder, do they?
Yeah, and I think it's just getting over the injuries. That's the main thing. You know, the soreness used to come out on the night after the match, and now it comes out 2 days later.
Because the important thing to ask you is, although you've done so much in rugby league, Great Britain, England, you've played in Australia, you've never actually played in a Challenge Cup final at Wembley, have you?
No, I haven't, and by the reception we just had when we just gone for a walk around, I think it's going to be a marvellous day for me.
You're looking forward to it?
I really am, yes.
You're going to win?
Yes.
All right, thanks very much. Come have a chat with Len Casey. Now, where's Len? He's on the...
In that little room.
Oh, he's gone to the loo, has he? All right, well, we'll forget about him. Where's Clive Sullivan? Clive, let's wander in. Clive. Right. Clive, you're one of few men who's actually played for both Hull and Rovers. Does that put pressure on you?
No, not really. I'm playing for Hull Kingston Rovers today, and that's the main thing.
Now, you've scored, what, over 400 tries in your career?
I think it's about 400, but I'd like to make it about 403 today.
You're looking for 3 tries, are you?
I wouldn't mind, yeah, that's right.
That'd be nice if you could do it.
Yeah, that's too true.
But how many of those tries have actually been scored for the opponents today?
Around about 240, something like this. I'm not quite sure, but it's 240 or something like this.
Now, I know you've all just been out onto the pitch and you've had a look. What do you think?
I think it's tremendous atmosphere out there. It made me a little bit nervous, you know, but not too bad, really.
Just tell me something about the pressures you get being a player who's played for both sides, living on Humberside. I know you get people outside your house at night, don't you?
You get this, but unfortunately, you know, it's usually the element in rugby league that we don't really need. But you get it, and other players get it as well. But we've learned to live with it. We've got to live with it anyway. We've no choice.
Sure. And who's that sitting down behind? That's Roy Holstock, is it?
Roy Holstock.
Let's go and have a chat with Roy, because he's the Player of the Year for Rovers. We had the pleasure of seeing you get that award against St Helens a couple of weeks ago, Roy. How do you feel?
Nice. Well, I feel calm. I feel lovely. Great. The crowd looks really tremendous out there. I'm really looking forward to it.
Because you've not played in the Challenge Cup final before, have you?
Never. No, I ain't like Clark, you know, he's throughout his career, you know, this is icing on the cake for him, you know. Whereas me, I'm, you know, a lot younger than Clark, you know, have another chance. I hope so, anyway.
And as Player of the Year for Rovers, it'd be nice to crown it with
that'd be great.
A winner's medal.
Yeah, it's been a great year for me, you know, with international, you know, status and that. It's been really good. Enjoyed it.
All right, all the best. Thanks very much. All the best to all of you, and I hope you enjoy the afternoon. Thanks.
Well, that, I'm sure, Tony, is a sentiment that is shared by all the Hull Kingston Rovers supporters in the stadium outside. And before we go into the Hull dressing room, just let me help you to distinguish between the two sides. Hull Kingston Rovers are captained by Roger Millward. They're called the Robins because of a broad red band around their chest. So on the pitch they're easily distinguishable, hence the red and white favours of the Hull Kingston Rovers supporters. Now, at the other end of the ground, the Hull supporters, they're wearing black and white favours of the Airlie Birds of Hull. That's because the ground is in Airlie Road. And the Hull players, captained by Steve Norton, wear shirts with both broad and narrow black bands across the body of the shirt and across the sleeves as well. Often called the Boulevarders after the name of their ground, They are, of course, in the opposite end of the tunnel, down there in the dressing rooms, and Tony Gubba, I hope, has now crossed the Great Divide.
Indeed, Frank, we've crossed the Great Divide now to the South dressing room, which is where the Hull players are getting ready for the final, and we'll move inside and talk to some of their personalities. And I suppose we really ought to start by talking to their manager, Arthur Bunting. Now, Arthur, the last time you were here at Wembley was as a player with Rovers on the other side in 1964, when in fact you lost. Which dressing room were you in on that occasion?
Don't mention nothing here.
Which dressing room were you in on that occasion?
In this one.
That's not an omen, I hope, is it?
I don't think so. Well, I hope not anyway.
Now, Hull have been at the Wembley final twice, 59 and 60, and they lost quite heavily on both occasions. Are you haunted at all by the memory of those defeats?
No, not really. It's what you do on the day. They obviously didn't do it on that day. We intend to do it today. There's no thought of it. I mean, the players who were playing here don't even know the players who played in that time.
59-60.
Anyway. No,
and of course, you've beaten Rovers in the BBC Floodlit Trophy final, didn't you?
well, that's right. We know we can beat Rovers. We've played them, while I've been there, we've played them about 6 times, and they've only beat us once, drawn with us once, so I think we must have the edge.
I know your preparation's very thorough, and in fact you came here yesterday and weren't supposed to train on the pitch, but tell us what happened.
Well, we didn't actually train, but we sort of...
But one or two of the players had their boots in their pockets, didn't they?
Well, Sammy came and had a few kicks at goal, and we had a few drops at goal, and Paul Woods put a few kicks into touch. I didn't realise we hadn't to do that. And
not even when the little groundsman came out and said, come off the pitch?
Well, I told them not to, but they all walked to the far end and run down the field with the ball, and I couldn't stop them doing it. I just grabbed hold of one of them and stopped him, but I couldn't get hold of them all.
So you're one up on Rovers already. You've actually had the chance to run out there with the ball, know what it's like.
Well, you get the feel of it, don't you, Tommy?
Sure. The man who that, of course, is most important to, we can just move across, Arthur, is Jeff Sammy Lowe here, the goal kicker extraordinary, whose goals took Hull into this final. How did you feel when you came out here yesterday and had the chance to take a couple of kicks?
Oh, absolutely marvellous. Very, very privileged to be allowed to go and have a walk out on the hallowed ground here at Wembley. Absolutely marvellous.
What were you wearing yesterday? I know you'd stuck your match boots in your pocket, but you had a pair of jeans and a sweater on.
I had a pair of cords on, very, very tight, yeah.
How many kicks did you take?
2 or 3, and most of them were unsuccessful.
But maybe you've got those out of your system now, so the ones that we'll see in the match this afternoon.
I really hope I have. It's a nasty swirling wind out there at Wembley. It surprised me.
That surprised you yesterday, did it? One would think with the ground being completely enclosed that it would be absolutely still.
Completely enclosed, I did actually think that it would be quite still in there, but it's a nasty swirling wind.
So that's an advantage. You know there's a bit of a wind out there, so you can compensate for that when you make some kicks this afternoon.
Yeah, I just hope that I do better than I did yesterday with my cords on. Yeah.
All right, thanks very much.
Okay.
If we swing around now, over here, we find one of the many former Welsh Rugby Union players who plays now for Hull, Paul Woods, full-back.
Yes.
You've been out and had a look at the pitch and seen the crowd. How do you feel?
Bit nervous.
Ignore them in the back. Are you going to be nervous, do you think?
No, once the games get started and get a tackle in, I should be all right, or get a run in. I should be all right then.
I think we should underline with you, of course, is that you got the Man of the Match award, didn't you, in the BBC Floodlit Trophy final?
Yes. I'll settle for a win today, just a win. Somebody else could have the Man of the Match.
You don't want the Man of the Match trophy as well?
No, just a win, that'll do me.
I was in South Wales a couple of days ago, and I must admit I was frankly quite amazed at the number of people who said they were coming from Wales in coaches to the Rugby League final.
Yeah, I think they make it a weekend out. I think you always got a good following up from Wales, like, you know. It's a lot of ex-rugby union players playing as well.
I suppose we ought to ask you, what's the big difference between union and league?
Probably get killed for this.
Go on.
It's a lot faster and harder, I find it, so anyway, you know, but I enjoy it. I prefer rugby league, to be truthful.
Now you've made the switch. Who did you play for as a union player?
Last off Pontypool, before that Tredegar.
Oh, so you played at the top level?
Yes.
Super. All the very best. Thanks very much. One more chap I want to have a chat with down here. This is perhaps the unluckiest man at Wembley today. This is Graham Evans, who would have been a sub if things had gone well. But what happened on Thursday?
Just a slight accident in training, really. I've torn a muscle in the back of my leg, and that ruled me out of it, so unfortunate.
But in fact, we ought to make it very clear. What in fact were you doing on Thursday? I'm told it was playing football.
Playing football, yes. My favourite game.
So
go on. It's my favourite game, so anyway, it's just one of those things. Can't cry about it. We'll just go out and these lads will win it for me. I have every confidence in them.
Dear, dear. 48 hours before the Wembley final. Could have been the sub here today. A game of football. And what is the injury?
I don't know exactly. They put a pot on it. I've torn muscle in back of my leg. They don't really know. It's just a rest day. So we're hoping for the best now. Just get over it and get playing again.
Well, commiserations, and I'm sure you'll feel all right so long as Hull win the trophy.
That'll do.